All right, go ahead.
Great. Can you spotlight me? Your share screen is still on, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Well, good evening or good morning, alumni, students, and guests. We have participants from different parts of the world joining us today. I'm Ying Yan, Columbia College 95 and Vice President of Asian Columbia Alumni Association. I'm also co-chair of the Events Committee. Thank you for joining us at ACAA's first ever virtual welcome back reception. For your information, we are recording this event. So at the start of every school year, we have this reception to bring together alumni and students to share their Columbia experiences and professional experiences as well. We usually have it on or near Columbia's main campus. However, with COVID-19, we thought it would be best to have a virtual event this year that allows people to participate safely and from anywhere in the world. Asian Columbia Alumni Association is the alumni association for Asian graduates of Columbia University worldwide. We try to address the needs of Asian alumni and students by creating a community in which we share ideas, experiences, and opportunities with each other, and a community in which we can support each other through our mutual connection with Columbia. This has been an unprecedented year filled with many challenges. Let's face these challenges together, support one another, and lift each other up. This reception is also an opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate the success of Asian alumni. We invite accomplished alumni as speakers to share with us their professional journeys and wisdom in navigating life after Columbia. Our speaker today is Dr. Thomas Lowe, also known as Chef Dr. Lowe. He has a very interesting professional life, one that I would characterize as atypical. But before I tell you more about him, I want to let you know in the second half of this program, after Dr. Lowe speaks and answers some questions, we will break out into different rooms so you can meet each other in smaller groups. Dr. Lowe will visit some of the rooms, but we won't have enough time to have him visit all the breakout rooms. Now I'd like to introduce the president of ACAA, Yi-Ting Shen, who would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Ying. Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. So delighted to be here. My name is Yi-Ting Shen. I'm Columbia Engineering 2001 and 2002. As the president, I want to just say a quick few words to welcome you all, the very first virtual session of the ACAA Welcome Back reception. So hope you're enjoying the fall and then getting used to these virtual sessions now. I apologize for some of. Very sorry about that. It's just some, that's part of the working from home sessions. Just to continue the words, last month we had a wonderful reception. Hope some of you have joined us, the Hong Yan Chang reception, where we honored Moselle Thompson to be the honoree as the second virtual session. And this is the new start of the new semester. So building the new relationship is upcoming, and I hope you enjoying this far and close relationship. As you mentioned that we will have breakout rooms, and then please do stay on with us and enjoy the networking session amongst each other. This welcome back reception is for both students and alumni. It's a good opportunity to leverage your network and be proactive, thoughtful on your approach. And this is also the new opportunity to connect and share. I want to just to say that ACAA is the platform, whether you're alumni students, whether you're young and old, whether you're in New York, closer by the campus, or somewhere in Asia or around the world, we're here for you. There are a variety of ways that we can stay connected. There's social media channels such as YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn group, and Instagram. I'll be putting some of the information on the chat box, and then there's also email address that you can reach out for if any of the questions to follow up and everything. So with that, I will give it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Yi-Ting. Okay, So with us today are a number of ACA's board members, advisors, and committee leaders. If you could raise your hands, board members and advisors, committee leaders. All right, just want to say a big thank you for all your support and guidance, especially during this past year. I also want to thank Columbia Alumni Association for collaborating with us on this event. They are a great partner with us for many of our programs, and I want to especially thank Jenna Farley-Fleming, who is the Associate Director for the Shared Interest Groups at the Office of Alumni and Development. Jenna, could you share some of the exciting things that CAA is doing?
Hi, everybody. Hopefully everyone can hear me and see me. Thank you all so much for joining. We know there are a lot of programs going on right now. So thank you for choosing to be us this evening. As Ying mentioned, I am the Associate Director for Shared Interest Groups, which means I have the distinct honor and pleasure of working with all of our shared interest groups, including, of course, ACAA. It is a very busy time for us at the CAA with a number of exciting programs taking place. Our about 15 shared interest groups are all holding programs throughout the year, and everybody is getting creative in terms of being virtual. And I must say the flexibility of our leaders is incredibly impressive. We also have our Columbia Alumni Leaders Experience coming up starting next week, which there will be a lot of partnerships with the Columbia at Home series, which take place every Wednesday evening. So keep your eyes open for those, and please don't be shy, join them. There's a lot of wonderful speakers and programs lined up. We also have coming up our annual Columbia Giving Day, which I'm sure many of you have already started receiving information about. And then also Columbia Connects is a program that usually we have one big reception for everyone in New York City. We've had to do it a little differently this year, and we're excited to wrap up Columbia Connects with a virtual networking hour for all of our shared interest groups, which is taking place on a week from today, actually, October 15th. So this is a great opportunity to meet other folks who are participating in ACAA, as well as our other identity and industry-based groups. So I hope to see you there. If anybody has any questions or is interested in anything else taking place at the CAA, feel free to message me. I'll put my email in the chat. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
Okay, and now I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Dr. Thomas Lowe. So I first met Thomas late last year at a Columbia event. And at this event, a senior executive at CAA pulled me over and told me I just had to meet Thomas because he is such an interesting guy with fascinating professional experience. And he shared some details with me about Tom. So I walked up to Tom and said, "Hi, I'm Ying. Someone told me I just had to meet you." And then we proceeded to talk some more. While it wasn't a very long conversation, I knew I wanted him to speak at one of our events. Fast forward to April of this year. We connected again on a project that alumni from China and the US have worked together to get much needed PPE to doctors on the front lines in New York City hospitals. Tom was instrumental in this project, working tirelessly to help fellow doctors during the height of the pandemic when so little was known about COVID-19. So remember I said earlier, he's also known as Dr. Chef Lowe. Well, in addition to being an anesthesiologist, Tom is also a professionally trained chef who owns a restaurant in Forest Hills, Queens called Spicy Cuisine. His restaurant has received accolades from the New York Times and its first Michelin bid gourmand in 2020. If this was an in-person event, I told Tom I would have asked him to cater it. But he did say maybe next year when we can resume in-person events. Tom began his culinary career studying at the French Culinary Institute in New York after graduating with a degree in molecular biology from Yale. He was part of the opening team of a restaurant at the Dillon Hotel in New York and was on Food Network's Iron Chef America. He's also appeared on several episodes of VH1's show, Let's Talk About Pep with Sandra Peppa Denton of Grammy award-winning rap group Salt and Peppa. On 9/11, he was working on the 73rd floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center when the plane hit the tower. After surviving this tragic day, he felt a deep sense of responsibility to do more with his life. Chef Dr. Lowe decided to go to Columbia's Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons to become an anesthesiologist. He was awarded the Virginia P. Apgard Award for Excellence in Anesthesiology and Critical Care, and is currently practicing in Rockland County, New York. Tom has been the president of the Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons Alumni Association since 2018 and on the board since 2008. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Thomas Lowe.
Thank you so much. Just wanted to thank Ying. Thank you so much for the incredible introduction, Yiting and Jenna. I'm really excited to speak to everyone here tonight, and I wish we could do this in person, but these are unprecedented times. Tonight I just wanted to kind of share my story, share my journey, sum up, I guess, the last 20 years in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to talk about balance and how I balance my life and the challenges that I always face doing, balancing a few different passions. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about resiliency. And I think it's, very appropriate, especially given this past year. These are very challenging times. So a little bit about me. As Yiting said, I went to Yale. I actually grew up in Buffalo, New York. I ended up going to Yale University. I studied molecular biology. I was pre-med, like many other Asian Americans. And I was always planning on becoming a doctor. So when I graduated in 2000, I was already accepted to medical school. And however, I always had a passion for food. And growing up, just my most memorable moments was really, sitting around the table with my family at family reunions and eating and enjoying the food and the entire atmosphere. So I got into medical school after graduating from Yale, and I told my parents, you know what? I want to defer. I want to go to go to cooking school. And, at first my parents were like, well, okay, why don't you get this out of your system? And so I moved to New York. I went to the French Culinary Institute. And when I started going to school, I was doing what's called a stage, which is a unpaid internship at a couple of restaurants, Lupa and Veritas in the city, and ended up dropping out of school and just working because I was learning more from just cooking. It was some of the best times of my life. I met most of my best friends through cooking, and they're the chefs I used to work with. And it was so much fun. I left the cooking industry. It's a very challenging industry. It was one of my passions. I love it. But I also wanted to go back and pursue medicine. Back on my 23rd birthday, which was actually 9/11 of 2001, I was working on the 73rd floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And as you all know, that day was a tragic day. For me, I was very lucky. I walked down, 73 flights of stairs. I was in a South Tower, which got hit second, but it was the first to come down. I obviously made it down very quickly. And I was down by, the J&R World nearby the Brooklyn Bridge when my actually building collapsed. And I ran across to Brooklyn, so I was very fortunate. And, surviving a incident like that really gives you a different perspective on life and, how lucky we are, and also how in a blink of an eye, for no good reason, things can be taken away. And, a few years later, I decided to go back to medical school. And that had its own challenges because although I had deferred a year, that deferment was over. And I actually had to retake my MCAT exams because those had expired from many years ago. I had to reapply. But I ended up going back, going to Columbia for medical school, and was really excited about that, pursuing my passion in medicine. And I ended up graduating in 2008 from Columbia Med School, and then decided to go back into anesthesia. So I stayed at Columbia for my anesthesia residency. And actually, we're talking about balance and how I balance being a chef and being a doctor. Anesthesia is actually a lot like cooking. And everyone asks, like, well, how'd you get into anesthesia? In the operating room, I deliver what's called a balanced anesthetic. And what that is it basically means I give something for pain, I give my patient something for anxiety, and I give something to get them off to sleep. Much like I would in the kitchen when I'm balancing a vinaigrette. I'm making, a vinaigrette for a salad or seasoning a piece of steak. I'm using salt, I'm using sugar, spice, balancing that. When everything works correctly in the right amounts, it's like harmony. But if it's not balanced correctly, then it's not so good. So anyways, that's one of the reasons why I went into anesthesia. It was all about balance. And that's kind of what I do now. I'm a doctor during the day. I'm an anesthesiologist in Rockland County at a small community hospital. And at night, I'm a chef. Like Ying said, I'm the culinary director at Spicy Cuisine, SPYC Cuisine. It's a Szechuan food, and it's awesome. And this has kind of been my dream ever since I was a kid, being a chef and having my own restaurant at the same time pursuing medicine and, all the fulfilling aspects of being a doctor. Now, with balance, I also had to, wanted to talk a little bit about resiliency. And there were, I would say, the last 7 years have not been that easy for me. And I had struggles. And I know, as alumni of Columbia, we're all very bright, hardworking, successful, and you name it. However, I know we all have gone through our own struggles. And it doesn't matter how smart you are, how successful, how much money, or whatever it is, we all go through struggles. And if you haven't gone through a struggle, then I actually honestly think that you haven't pushed yourself hard enough. Back after I graduated from residency, I started working as an attending, and we have all sorts of exams, board exams, and I was working on my oral board exam to be a board certified anesthesiologist. And it's an oral exam, it's not a Scantron, it's not written down. Basically, you sit in front of two experts, literally two experts who wrote your textbook, and they grill you for an hour talking about a hypothetical case and a scenario. It was the single hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I actually failed the first time I took it. and that was a big blow. Not the first time I've ever failed anything, but it was, yeah, it was a big blow. And then I failed again, and I failed again. And I was like, what is going on? This is, you know, it was very frustrating. I had a lot of different things going on in my life. I was going through a custody battle with my son. My dad had gotten sick and he passed away. My mom had gotten sick and passed away unexpectedly. And I'm not making any excuses, but there were a lot of different things that were, you know, battling for my time. And it was one of the hardest things I had to do. And at one point I was so close to giving up, and I was just beat down over, you know, the passing of my parents, struggling and failing, and, you know, it wasn't something I was used to. And I had to get over my own ego because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to seek help. But I was at the point where I was about to give up. And I had to really dig deep down and seek the help of others, of my old professors. And the struggle was really with myself. And once I realized that, I was able to conquer it. It took about 7 years. It was not fun. But I was down to my last straw, and the last time I could take this exam. It was a lot of stress, but I dug down deep. I let my ego go. I sought the help of all my old professors. I used to be embarrassed. I let that go and just said, listen, I need your help. And instead of being ashamed and embarrassed, I realized it's okay. And all my friends and all my old professors, they came to help me. And lo and behold, I was down to my last chance of taking this exam, and I passed it. And it was really incredible. You know, sometimes you have to struggle. It's really unfortunate, and sometimes it's cliche. There are times when you might feel like a failure, and I felt horrible. I felt awful for many years. But really, it's not a failure, because it's more of a lesson. And a lot of times going through these difficult times can actually be a blessing in disguise. And as long as you learn and get back on your feet, it's not a failure. And actually, you learn so much more from overcoming your hurdles and your failures than actually being successful. Obviously, you know, we don't wish failure or anything like that, but sometimes you have to go through it. And since I've overcome this hurdle, which was honestly one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my entire life, and I've taken exam after board exam and everything like that, it really taught me a lot. And since overcoming it, I've been able to, you know, do so many more things, and I feel like I'm almost starting my life now. And it's a really valuable lesson. You know, going through these difficult times can be a blessing in disguise, and it's even more so during this time of COVID and unprecedented global pandemic. And many of us are doing well, but there are many of us who have faced challenges this year. I think we've all faced them, but we can learn a lot about going through these struggles and also understanding, you know, what's important, and given this bigger picture of the values that are important to us. And, you know, as horrendous as COVID-19 is, it teaches us, you know, to appreciate what we have, appreciate our family, our loved ones. We're all here. I know many countless people who have passed. I've witnessed it in the hospital, my friends, family members who have passed, but you and I, we're here, we're healthy, and we have to cherish the times that we do have. And with that, I'm just going to end off again talking about balance and balancing what's important to you in your life, whether it's your job, your career, your family, your hobbies, your passions, and also resiliency and digging deep down into your soul to overcome struggles. And if you're doing great, fantastic. More to you, and keep at it. If you're struggling, it's okay. We all struggle. And it's really digging deep and finding all that energy and passion to overcome all the difficulties that we have. So with that, thank you so much. I really wish that we could do this in person under safer circumstances, but was really an honor to speak to you, and hope to meet many of you in person one day.
Thank you, Tom, for sharing your story and for your uplifting remarks. I'm sure there are questions from the audience, so I will open it up for questions now. If you have a question, please type it in the chat and I'll read as many as we have time for. While they're typing, maybe I can start by asking you, Tom, you talk about balance, and we're all trying to balance our own individual lives. Even if, I'm thinking about myself with my family, and I feel a lot, I feel a lot of cabin fever, and I want to get out there and I want to dine with friends and dine with family. But what advice do you have for people who want to stay safe like I do, but also want to re-engage with people, go back out in person and again, dine with people?
Sure. That's a great question. And I think we all are facing that. We want to see our friends. We're all locked up, and especially, living in New York, our quarters are tight. So obviously, we have to prioritize a couple things. Number one, I think health and safety, practicing all the guidelines that we know, social distancing, washing our hands, and being safe. Now, we can be safe and also go out, okay, as long as we're, not gathering in large numbers, we're wearing our masks, we're dining outdoors. We can do that. Now, granted, if there's in New York, we've in the last week seen a little uptake. So in which case, if you are in particular areas, you do need to be careful, okay? And certain red zone, what they call red zone areas, it is almost shut down, and that's just, shortly. But other parts of the city, I would say in New York in the last couple months, outdoor dining has resumed. And you can actually, you can safely still live your life, because it is a balance, like you said. And, but you do have to prioritize safety and health.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, we got lots of questions coming through. I'm going to try to do it in the order that it came through. So from Tiffany, we have, during your career struggles, have you ever had any issues regarding bias, conscious or unconscious?
I guess bias, sure. I think we all go through bias. I think we all live in our little microcosm, our own little world, especially being a graduate of Columbia. We're among, very bright people, very hardworking. Everyone's very successful. And that's just your surroundings, right? Like when I was at Columbia Med School, wow. I mean, our average score to get in was like the 98th percentile. And so even the people at the bottom of the class were incredibly gifted and talented. But once you're in it, you just feel like, well, this is the normal world, and it isn't. And you have to kind of sometimes step back and realize, really you got to just do your best, and really your competition is yourself. Okay. And it can be challenging, obviously, because you see your friends and everyone's very, successful and getting into the top programs and stuff. But it's really important to kind of step back, realize what's important to you, and do your best, and not look at other people and what they're doing. And easier said than done, obviously. And realize that that's all you can ask of yourself, right? If you gave it your all, you gave it 100%, and you didn't get what you wanted or what you expected, that's okay. You have to accept it, because there's nothing else. But if you don't give it your 100%, and you need to be honest with yourself, and whether you gave it 100% or not, then you can look back and say, you know what, maybe I was distracted, or I had something else going on. But really look at the bigger picture, and I think that's very important.
Great, thank you. So question from Betty. What exercises could we all do to be more balanced and calm given the unknown circumstances? Not exactly sure in terms of maybe physical exercise.
Well, I think there's a lot of different things that we can do. I think being mindful, what helped me a lot was some sort of meditation. I never really meditated growing up. But a lot of the struggles that we have dealing with life, our career, our family, it's really about being mentally sound, stable, and secure. And a lot of times, all sorts of things happen. Bad things happen at work. We got, into fights with our family and our friends. And really, sometimes you, again, need to just step back, take a breath, or a few breaths, or a few moments, and literally just calm yourself down. And whether that's going for a walk, whether it's meditating, and just calm yourself and look at the bigger picture. It's not the end of the world. And it can be challenging, because I'm a very passionate person. So, when I get stressed or I get frustrated, it's a rush of energy. But I need to kind of just calm myself and really just look at the bigger picture. Nothing tragic is going to happen. Calm yourself and then reassess the situation.
Great.
That's a wonderful question. Absolutely. Thank you, Betty.
Yeah. Next question. Do you feel this is from Annette, do you feel there is a lot more pressure to look good because society has a certain expectation from Asians?
So that's interesting. I don't think there's any extra pressure. I think in this world, there's so many things that are important, and I think they all have its place. So, for example, obviously, education is very important. I'm a firm believer. I think we all are. We went to a, wonderful university. We all worked hard. I think having good ethics, good values growing up, all the values that my parents instilled in me, I'm now instilling into my son. Those are very important. But also, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by, looking good, but also, appearance, unfortunately, is very important too. And it's many times your first impression. And sometimes, it's hard to, I guess, if you don't give off a good first impression, many times it takes, so much effort to correct it. And it's unfortunate, but that's the truth. And so not only is it important to have the good background, the education, the work ethic, and the values, but also, presenting it is, I would say, just as important.
Yeah. Great. I'm gonna not going to ask all the questions, just two more. From Moselle, what did you struggle? Moselle, would you like to ask your question? Maybe you can unmute yourself. Oh, what did your struggles teach you about defining success? Sorry.
I'm sorry, what did your struggles,
Teach you about defining success.
yeah, you know, yeah, thank you so much for that question. I guess when you struggle and overcoming the struggles and the hurdles, you know, it's so cliche, it's like a journey, right? But when you make it, it feels that much better and that much of an accomplishment. And it's not easy, right? Obviously, we wish to just work hard and have things come to us. And sometimes it does, but actually you learn so much more when you struggle. I don't wish it upon anyone. I wish I didn't have to. It really tests your intestinal fortitude. It really, and it pushes you to the limit. But when you finally make it, it makes you that much stronger, and it makes you able to take on even bigger challenges. Because you know what? There will always be challenges. That's life. And I know I overcame this huge hurdle for me, but I will have even bigger hurdles. And it may happen next year or in 5 years or 10 years. But having dealt with my previous hurdles will help me conquer things to come. But that's a fantastic question.
Okay, wonderful. There's one that seems quite fun. What do you enjoy most about being in the kitchen? This is from Mike DeSarno. What is your death row meal?
Wow, that's tough. You know, again, being a chef and being in the kitchen, if you've ever seen a professional kitchen, there's just so much energy and so much enthusiasm, and it's everything, right? It's the sound, it's the smell, it's the sight, it's the temperature, and everyone's just working together, cooking delicious food. Everyone shares the same passion, and you know that's what I love. And you could be exhausted, hot, sweaty, yeah, burns all over yourself, but you're putting out great food. Everyone's having a good time, and you know that camaraderie is really infectious. It's to me, it's literally a natural high, and that's what I love. A last meal, God, you know, it's funny, right? Because I've worked in all these fine dining restaurants. You know, make these, you know, I was trained making all this fancy food, but growing up in Buffalo, I love chicken wings, buffalo wings. So I think I would want to eat some buffalo wings. You know, again, food, there's so much to food, and so much of food is memories, and you cannot compete with memories of growing up as a kid. And every time I eat a buffalo wing, it just brings me back to my childhood. And it doesn't matter where I'm eating, I'm just smiling and enjoying it. So I would have chicken wings.
All right, wonderful. Okay, well, we're at 8:42. I would like to do the breakout rooms for maybe just 15 minutes. There's a lot more I'm sure Thomas could share. Because this is a smaller group, I'm pretty certain we'll be able to get him to each of the rooms and you can ask more questions there, but it also allows you to meet each other. So I just want to ask Jenna, are we set for the breakout rooms, or I can ask another question?
Yeah, we have the breakout rooms assigned as we had originally planned. So we're going to have nice small groups in each of the rooms. And unless we'd like to do something different.
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
So actually, before we go to the breakout rooms, in case people start signing off, I just want to say thank you, Tom, for your candor in your presentation and your talk here. It's great to hear you talk so personally about your passions. And I think your story is so inspirational and encourages people to find their own paths, to follow their own passions and be resilient. I'm personally very impressed with your passion to help others, whether it's through food or medicine, and your ability to balance so much in your life. So as a token of our appreciation, we have a gift for you. Nick, who is holding up a Columbia University sweatshirt, that's what we will mail to you. Normally I would just hand that over to you, but unfortunately can't do that right now. We will mail that to you. So thank you so much for speaking today and sharing so much of yourself and just being vulnerable. I think it's great for all of us to hear it and to learn from you. So,
Thank you.
all right, with that, thank you. With that said, at this point, let us join, we'll go into our breakout rooms. You'll see a message pop up on your screen to join a breakout room. You can press join and you'll be sent to the room. At the end, you'll get a message saying breakout rooms will close in 1 minute and you'll return to the main session automatically. So we'll give it about a little under 15 minutes. Have a great time, everyone.
So we should have everybody rejoining us in just a couple seconds.
I realize I have to unmute myself. So sorry that we ran a bit late. It's typical of our reception. We always try to kick people out physically because they're having such a good time. And so I guess virtually we can kick you all out faster, actually. But I do want to say thank you. And I hope you all had a really good time getting to know each other, getting to learn and hear about Tom's experience. So once again, thank you again to Tom and all of you for joining us today. Please join us again for future ACA events. As Jenna mentioned, there is a Columbia Connects All-SIG networking event next week on October 15th. Some of you know Columbia Alumni Leaders Experience, as they've called it now, CALE. It starts tomorrow and we'll have programs over the next 5 weeks. And last but not least, Columbia Giving Day is on October 28th. Please support ACAA by selecting Asian Columbia Alumni Association as your SIG affiliation, SIG affiliation when donating. And you'll not only be showing your support of ACAA, but also adding to our collective voice as Asian alumni at Columbia University. So your donation will still go towards supporting your school, your program that you want, and your cause. So thank you again for joining. Mike DeSarno mentioned there's a Madeline Albright event coming up as well. So thank you again for joining. Stay safe and be well. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Have a good
Good
night.
night. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
so
So
much.
good to meet you all.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Tom. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.